Hey, welcome back. Last time I talked about how speedrunning changed Celeste for me, and how fun it is. The video should be at the top corner of your screen, and I encourage you to watch that first. This video will feature spoilers for the gameplay and story of Celeste, so if you haven't played Celeste yet, I highly recommend you do so before watching this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, as we are close to hitting 100 subs, and comment what you think about Farewell. Sit back, relax, grab a snack or two, and let's get started. Celeste's Farewell is an interesting level. One of those levels that require good precision and timing. Not crazy timing, but still it's difficult. Compared to some levels in the modding community, Farewell is nothing. Still, that doesn't mean it's easy, even in my best quote-unquote speedrun. Not really. It took me 35 minutes to beat Farewell. So what makes this level so damn difficult? We'll get to that eventually. So let's start the level. So, to add context, the grandma who you would pass by in the main levels occasionally is basically dead, and we follow these clouds and suddenly end up in space. Battleland follows along and just leaves you out there alone after an argument. And now you're truly alone, with no one at your side, afraid of what is to come ahead. Unlike the other levels, you don't really know what you're going to get into. Farewell throws you into the dark. Celeste is typically about overcoming your fears and persevering through adversity. It's evident when Granny brings up how the player gets attached to the struggle of climbing the mountain, and this is after completing arguably the hardest room in the main game. Celeste isn't as easy as it looks. There's a lot of challenges you will face in this game, and the story reflects that, like you experiencing the game in Madeline's shoes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you play a level for the first time, there's always a little motivational message for you. Not in Farewell, which again, I could be wrong, so correct me if I am. The difficulty is high considering the length of the levels, and it took me over 4,000 deaths to beat this level back when I played on the Switch. Now that I'm playing on the PC version, I can get much more crispy footage for you guys, thank goodness. So, this level will beat you down, and you will likely want to stop playing the game. And it is a long level, like really long, but regardless, let's get into the level. So, repeating what I said earlier, the level begins with Madeline visiting Granny's grave. For context, you would occasionally pass by her, and initially she would talk mad crap to you. However, she is essential to Madeline, as Granny is one of the reasons why she made it to the summit. In chapter 8, she said she broke down after the passing of Granny, which impacted her deeply. To put it simply, she's in a lucid dream, pretty much. As a desperate attempt to see Granny one final time, you and Madeline head to space. The first thing Madeline says is to run away. Madeline refuses to because she wants to chase after the bird. And so Madeline leaves us and we only have one dash to work with. The first thing you see is a bunch of fragmented rocks floating around, and you enter the next room. The level eases you in by introducing you to the double dash crystal, which is self-explanatory. It basically gives you 2 dashes, and since you are stuck to one, it's not a permanent switch over. The music as you progress in the early stages is dubbed the Fear of the Unknown. The music isn't jolly or hopeless. It feels numb in some type of way. The music here feels off. Something doesn't feel right, and the only way to move is forward. You don't have Madeline, you don't have Theo, you're all alone. Even the background of the level is all over the place. Even if, yes, it looks visually pleasing. As you progress the game, this thing pops up. A pufferfish that you can directly jump on like this, super dash on like this, and even blow up the damn thing. Well, it is based on a pufferfish after all. It literally is a pufferfish. The dream blocks also returned for a roam or two, but they'll come back eventually. In terms of difficulty, I'd say Singularity is not that bad aside from maybe a room or two. Generally speaking, it's a great introduction to ease the player into what is to come, as the player is thinking, okay, this level has to be over soon, right? The level continues, and as you make your way over, the game throws a new mechanic at you, the jellyfish. The jellyfish is supposed to function as a parachute and slowly glide you through areas previously inaccessible without it, and right away there's 2 paths you can take. Either you can make your way through this top route or the bottom route. Initially this top route seems inaccessible. You could be thinking, I might need a double dash for this path. All you need is a wave dash into the parachute and glide to the top and wave dash again between a tight gap to advance to the next room. The other path is safer, yet it is the longer path. The hardest path is obviously harder and the shorter path, leading to this next room, entering from the left if you've taken the top path, or entering from the bottom path if you've taken the bottom path as well. If you've taken the bottom path, the bird flies along the level, which is a nice touch. With some jellyfish usage, we reach this large room. The bird flies up, and there are 5 keys to unlock before you can progress upward. You can skip this entirely, or at least somewhat. So what you're supposed to do is grab a jellyfish from this top right room, and there's electricity all around, so your paths are blocked off in order to get the keys. Once you get the parachute and reach this area near the very top of the room, you dash up twice with the parachute on you. This part of the game is interesting. There's not an immediate path, but you can kind of skip this. If you have the parachute from the earlier rooms, you can take it with you and skip this entirely and just get rid of the lightning as fast as you can. If you die once, it's basically done. You have to do it the normal way, and the parachute that came with you or that you took with you is pretty much gone, and you had to do it the normal way. Also, you can dash upwards. So what you have to do is that the game doesn't really tell you this directly, and it's dropping the jellyfish will leave it in a place and not throwing it. What I mean by this is throwing the parachute also sends you back a slight bit. So if you're next to a wall of spikes and you throw it, you will likely die. But if you drop it and leave it in place, you will not move at all. And if you dash up, you can almost make like a elevator, which in this case, the community calls it a jellyvator. Anyways, once you reach the box, you can break the box by dashing into it twice, and now previously restricted paths are now open for the player to follow through. The keys themselves are not bad to get, as it's mostly just throwing the parachute to the wall and bouncing off the wall for you to dash and go up. The one I tend to usually struggle on is this room in the top left, where you trigger these moving blocks and have to time it properly to hit the springs attached to these blocks. I try to do it as fast as I can, but it's a slow room and I end up dying a lot because of it. After you reach all 5 keys and move on, you hear this all of a sudden. A ray of hope amidst a dark void of sorrow. The background changes to look more bright and colorful. The music itself represents that you're almost there, and that the rooms are going vertically as opposed to horizontally, similar to how the summit is laid out from the bottom to top. It's like you are ascending up to the finish line, and the heart is right there, and let's collect it. If it isn't obvious enough, we are nowhere near the end. Since Madeline refuses the dream to end like this, it's unfulfilled. Madeline isn't happy with this, yet she must press on, no matter the cost. So the player, reaching the point of no return, progresses and runs into the bird again. This time there's a massive gate locked behind 15 hearts. Doing the B and C sides alone is plenty, or you can skip this gate entirely. Notice how it falls down instead of just staying in place like in Core, where you actually have to get the hearts. If you time it right, you can do a super dash into a hyper, timing it right. You skip it all together. Now that's some cool stuff from the speedrunning text. So you move to the next room and it introduces you to a wave dash, which is neat. At this point of the game, if you've only done the B-sides and you're playing casually, you only know how to do the wall bounce and wave dash at this point. Moves such as corner boosts or hypers are not that necessary in this case. The game also reteaches you the wall bounce in case you forgot about it, so yeah, that's the thing. Moving on, you see the bird and grab onto it, ending up and you fall into the other side of the room as Madeline ponders if the bird is also against Madeline, further emphasizing that you are all alone. She doesn't waver as she is too deep in to go back. So she gets determined and pumps herself up for the gauntlet that is to come. The background completely changes as the dream is no longer what it is meant to be. You're basically an anomaly at this point. I suppose you can think of crossing this area as heading to an unknown, never before discovered cave only you are currently exploring. The music fills you up with determination as you keep pressing on. The level immediately ramps up in difficulty. There's bubbles coming back and pretty much nearly every major gimmick making their return in this level. This is where I say damn near the rest of the level is in the air. You always have a moment to take a breather, fortunately, but some people turn off the game and never come back to it if it's that difficult for them. Yet some persist. Regardless of what you did, this level is meant to feel impossible. And the room lids can be ridiculous. The game provides you with binoculars, something that I didn't really think was useful until I started playing the mods. These let you see the room entirely and visualize what movements you must do in order to progress to the next level. These rooms are also starting to feel really narrow and hard to get around because of the precise movements you need to get through the tight gaps. There is one room that stands out for me. This one right here. Or many people call it the Golden Berry Ender, or at least that's just a nickname I just made up now. I have a feeling that this room ends a lot of people's Golden Berry runs because of the timing that needs to be in this very room. Alright, let's break this one down. So what you need to do is you see a movable block and lots of spikes. You trigger the block and timing it just right, you get an opportunity to wall bounce and grab back on the block, let go, and wait to bounce off of the spring. And that should be it for this room. The timing itself is not easy to pull and it is frustrating. Even now with Farewell, it's not that difficult for me. We head up to the last room of the segment, a falling platform. As you reach for the feather up here, descending your way down to catch this bird. As you find the bird, that game gives you the feathers to catch up to the bird and it flies alongside you. As we head further into the level, this is where the difficulty peaks, and the previous segment was more for getting a feel to use the wall bounce and wave dash. Now that you have the blocks from the temple here, these gaps are really difficult to cross through. The sense of claustrophobia is now emphasized even further. These star things are now brought in that go on cycles, like these dust bunnies, but it's whatever. The rooms are difficult still, and it feels like there's no end in sight until you reach the purple bubble, immediately recognizing it as Battleland. You feel some sense of security knowing that you have company, and the desaturation kicks in, and the music starts playing. It's the rhythm blocks again that are here in this segment. Madeline asks you, again, trying to be reasonable, and tells Madeline that all of this is a dream. Madeline already knows this, but is dead set on reaching the end. She's standing on business, and she already made up her mind early, and she says, I am doing this with or without you. I am done letting you hold me back. This segment is called Stubbornness. It's in the name. So Madeline does not care what the circumstances are. Some moves are faster in rhythm than others. This may seem a bit far-fetched, but I'd like to think that the rhythm in these rooms is Madeline's heartbeat. This level is a dream, so anything goes, and it's likely low because she is asleep and calm in her dream, or in a nightmare, whatever you want to put it. This segment is not my favorite in terms of speeding through. The rhythm blocks are a fine mechanic and all, but it's really slow. You can't really skip them in any way, so you just have to do it regardless. The only upside is that the difficulty takes a slight dip, because once you get the rhythm and understand it, it's quite easy to get through the room. So we move along to this particular room, and you see the bird and immediately catch him, making sure he does not get away. And you are basically in a dead end because there is no, immediate path to the next room. You are now in a cutscene. The bird tries to run off and Madeline follows suit. Suddenly, Madeline pops back in, asking for Madeline to turn back. Madeline's persistence remains. She knows that despite all the effort to get so far in the dream, it won't bring her back. She's unsure whether to press on at this point because of how far she has gone. Yet Madeline goes towards her and comforts her, saying to finish this together. We see the electrical box and destroy it. We now have our final segment, so we continue, now getting support from Madeline. And the bird this time, I just noticed that the colors are back, and it's so seamless. I didn't even notice that watching my footage reviewing it. So let's move on. The difficulty ramps up again, and unlike the last few segments where the sense of claustrophobia was there, we now have more room to move around. Even if it's in the air and we have a bunch of airtime, we continue ahead, and I gotta say, this section is fun to play and speed through. The parachute is used really well. The game considers potential speedrun routes, which is great on top of the already ramped up difficulty. The bird flings you horizontally and can lead to interesting design choices with Madeline launching you up as well. Oh my, the music, bro, it's just incredible here. Holy shit, it gives me goosebumps every time. Alas, we've arrived to the final room. Madeline tells us that this is it. We begin making our way over to the last room where there are a lot of obstacles in your way. Madeline hangs on tightly to the parachute and endures the explosions from the pufferfish, pressure from the air, fast winds, sharp stars, even more pufferfish. As this is a grueling final task the game asks the player to perform. I didn't know this, but if you die enough times, Battling gives you a little motivation, which is such a power move from the devs to include this little scene from here. In this case, if the player does feel devastated or defeated from this long, difficult final room, you ask yourself, can I really do this? Failed attempt after attempt, the player gets frustrated and this scene occurs, as if you are Madeline herself. Once you get through that, all the pain, the nervousness after 2 minutes of patience to beat the room, you see Madeline and the bird take off. As you make your final ascent to the end, you reach Madeline and this happens. you end up in what I suppose is heaven and see Granny. Madeline tells her how she's been ever since Granny's passing, and Granny laughs it off, saying as, "What do I care about who showed up to that thing? I'm already dead." Madeline says her final goodbye, and then she wakes up in a call with Theo. She apologizes for not responding to any of his messages or calls. Madeline then says she has come to terms with the passing of Granny. That reminds Theo to show Madeline an old picture of younger Granny and Theo's grandpa. The game fades to black, and that's farewell. This was an experience, alright. A lengthy one at that. But I still had a great time replaying this level. It truly is a final test for the player to take everything learned and applied here. Not only that, but the level also fully takes advantage from the gimmicks of the previous levels and eases you in as the levels progresses. The music is by far the best aspect of this level. It conveys what Madeline is feeling, going through in the beginning. She is uncertain of the path of what lies ahead. Later is determined to press on and finish the level. Now, this level is difficult to clear. It took me 30 minutes to clear it even now. I was feeling frustration when I struggled because I knew I was close to the end, yet wasn't. If it wasn't obvious enough, I absolutely love this game. And this level is a great final challenge for the player. Traveling through an ethereal space just to see Granny? Hell yes, sign me up. There's one more thing though. Let's talk about the moon barrier here. It's already annoying to access, but if you enter this room, it's going to be one difficult challenge to get. I said how most of Farewell is basically in the air. Well, that's the moon barrier room in a nutshell. You grab the parachute and have to throw it onto walls, hit springs. It's a home. You got the moon berry, so hey, it's worth it. And overall, Farewell is a great level. It's difficult, yes, but it truly is one of those levels where you can't really complain about how difficult it is because, well, that's pretty much the point of the level. It's supposed to be difficult. Like, you think it would be easy to get to Granny. The thing what made it more difficult for me is that I did the skip. And I didn't even play many of the B-sides playing it for the first time, and so that caused me to really struggle in the later half of the level because I didn't know what the wall bounce was, and that's what messed me up a lot. But I still learned it regardless, and I still had great fun. I'm not ashamed to admit that when I first did the level, I just said F it and did it in an assist mode, and then I actually did the level authentically, and it was a great experience. The story of Celeste is not the best story in the game, but it's a story. It's a fine story. It does teach you about overcoming adversity and never giving up, showing resilience. And Celeste is just a game that I really love. I want to play it forever, especially the modding community and Strawberry Jam. But that could be a video for another day, but that's all I got to say for this level. And again, be sure to sub since we're close to 100, like the video, and comment below any thoughts you have about Celeste or Farewell. And as always, enjoy yourselves and have a good one.